Hey guys, it's Sagar, and in this video I'm going to do a quick and short unboxing of this iPhone 13, tell you guys what it offers, and then let you guys know my initial impressions about it. We will also touch on a few points which differentiates it from the last year's iPhone 12. Now make sure to hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of the videos about this phone or the iPhone 13 Pro, which are going to come up on the channel in the next few days. With that out of the way, let us get back to this iPhone 13. I got a graphite iPhone 13 Pro for myself, and this one is going to be my wife's phone. So after looking at all the color options, she decided to go with the pink iPhone 13 this year. It is about time that Apple finally increased the base storage variant to 128GB on all iPhone 13 models this year. So although you might feel like the starting price of the iPhone 13 is same as the iPhone 12 because both of them started at 79,900 rupees, but this phone is actually 5,000 rupees cheaper than the iPhone 12. This one comes with 128GB of built-in storage instead of 64GB like the iPhone 12 came out last year. And if you wanted to get the 128GB variant of the iPhone 12, it would have costed you 84,900 rupees, which is a good 5,000 rupees more than the iPhone 13. Alright, with that short lesson in iPhone 13's pricing, let us get back to its unboxing. Now the box of this phone is just as thin as the iPhone 12's box which came out last year. So if any of you are hoping that Apple is going to include the charger back in the box, you guys are out of luck. This time, in an effort to reduce the use of plastic, Apple did not include the plastic wrapping that we normally peel off these iPhone boxes. Instead, the box is now sealed with these small pull tab stickers. If you have purchased an Apple Watch or an iMac in the last 3 or 4 years, you might have seen this type of seal before. So pulling these two tabs, turning the box and sliding up the lid, which now actually comes out way too easily, we get our first look at the iPhone 13, which is sitting at the top. Although it's called pink, the color doesn't look too pink at all. It is more of a pastel pink, which honestly doesn't look too bad. It definitely doesn't look white or silver. It's a very subtle pink color, not very saturated, and I like it. Alright, let me take this protective sticker off the display. I will also turn on the phone to have a look at the smaller notch, and by the time the phone turns on, let us check out other things in the box. Other than the phone itself, we just get the USB-C to Lightning cable, a SIM to ejection pin, leaflets with warranty and regulatory information, and one Apple sticker. Just like last year, there is no charger or earpods in the box. When other companies are including 65 or even 120 watt chargers with their phones, Apple has even stopped giving us the 5 watt charger, which was painfully slow, but at least it was there in the box. With that, let me keep all these things aside and get back to the phone. One of the few visual changes that can tell the iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 apart is a smaller notch on this year's iPhone. Can you tell that it is smaller? Here, have a look at it against the notch from the iPhone 12. Now you can see how much smaller it is. Though it is not the notchless design that most people have been waiting for, making the notch smaller still seems like a step in the right direction. But it still took Apple 4 years to reduce the size of the notch by 20%. Other than having a smaller notch, the 6.1-inch display on this iPhone 13 is still the same as the one on the iPhone 12. It is still a Super Retina XDR display, gets an OLED panel with a resolution of 2532 by 1170 pixels, which translates to 460 ppi. It again gets a wide P3 color gamut, supports HDR10, Dolby Vision, gets a peak brightness of 800 nits in typical conditions, which is a bit more than the iPhone 12, and has a peak brightness of 1200 nits while playing HDR content. The regular iPhone 13s don't get the 120Hz refresh rate displays. Those are only reserved for the Pro models this year. This display is protected by the same strong ceramic shield glass like the iPhone 12. Sides are still flat, which I love, and they are made of aluminium and color match to the back of the phone that you get. All the buttons and ports are on the same side as they were on the iPhone 12. But now they are placed a bit lower, so they are slightly easier to reach, which is really good. Now the last visual change to differentiate the iPhone 13 from the 12, other than the newer colors, smaller notch and a slightly lower placement of the buttons, is this new diagonal placement of the two cameras at the back. Now unlike what most people want you to believe, the new diagonal placement of the cameras is not there so that you can just tell that it's an iPhone 13. Both the camera lenses are much bigger this time, and the main camera is actually the same one as the main camera on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which we all know had the biggest sensor among all the iPhone 12 series phones last year, and it also got the sensor shift stabilization. This main camera and the sensor shift assembly is way bigger, so to make enough space to accommodate this new sensor, they had to adopt this new diagonal placement. So that is it for the exterior of the iPhone 13. Yes, it is a few grams heavier and a hair thicker than the iPhone 12, but I really doubt anyone will even notice it because it is still very thin and light for a phone of its size. Inside this phone, we get a new A15 Bionic processor, which is a 6-core CPU, has 4-core GPU and a 16-core neural engine on board, and it also gets 4GB of RAM, which is plenty because iOS is not very RAM hungry. This might sound like the same processor that is on the iPhone 13 Pro models, but this time Apple has separated the processors between the regular and Pro iPhones. The iPhone 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max get one extra core for GPU, which might not sound much, but the GPU benchmark results show a huge gap between the scores of both these phones. That being said, the A15 chip, even with 4-core GPU on the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, is still faster than last year's A14 Bionic, which was already leaps ahead of the competition. The battery inside is now 30 to 40 mAh, which is 15% bigger than last year, and is the reason why the iPhone 13 is a hair thicker and slightly heavier. When it is time to charge it, you will have to purchase a USB-C charger to use with the included lightning cable, which by the way costs another 1900 rupees. When you use this charger, the battery inside will go from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes. And yes, iPhone 13 also comes with 5G antennas and it has support for most of the bands. But since 5G is non-existent in India right now and is most likely to be so for the next year, I still don't care much about it. For the software, it is running iOS 15 out of the box. Combining that with A15 processor, performance should be stellar on this iPhone 13 for years to come. The iPhone 13 does not bring any groundbreaking upgrades or improvements over the iPhone 12, so if you are already using the iPhone 12, I don't see any reason for you to go out and get the iPhone 13. But if you are using the iPhone 11 or any of the other iPhones from before that, I think there are enough upgrades for you in this phone to make the switch. Now I am excited about the camera improvements that this new iPhone 13 brings in. The main camera is actually ported from the iPhone 12 Pro Max, so it will be interesting to see what kind of improvements it brings compared to the iPhone 12's cameras. If you have been following this channel for some time, you know that I am already working on a dedicated camera review of this phone, and that video will be coming out in just a few days. Not just that, I have many other videos including a full comparison with the iPhone 12 and the difference between the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 Pro coming out in the next few days as well. So make sure you have the notifications for this channel turned on. Until then, if you want to get the iPhone 13, I will really appreciate if you get it from the affiliate links in the description section. So these have been my initial impressions about the iPhone 13 after seeing it for the first time. But what do you guys think about it? And which of these new colors is your favorite one? Let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more coverage on the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. You guys can also check some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.